Welcome to Warhammer 40k lore in the Bible, where I pull from Warhammer 40k lore to help explain biblical lore. And today I'm going to be reacting to some Void Dragon TikToks. And every Monday I do a lore video, and every Tuesday is the short version of that, and that's more of a narrative experience, while Monday's videos are a lore study and a biblical study all in one. And then I do these react videos with the biblical veneer to it, and it all evolves around Warhammer 40k lore. All right, now, we're going to get this started. Now, Satan, he's called the dragon, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, right? Well, here's the question. Are cherubims ever described as serpents or dragons? The answer is no, they're not. What are described as serpents and dragons are the seraphim. They're mentioned in Isaiah 6, and seraphim means fiery serpent. Okay, Isaiah 6:2. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings, with 20 he covered his face, and 20 covered his feet, and 20 he did fly. So that sounds like a dragon almost, right? Compared to a cherubim, which has 4 faces like a man and a cow or whatever. Nowhere are they ever mentioned as serpents. So, Satan is a seraphim, not a cherubim. Okay, let's get this started here.
Within walls built 65 million years ago by us lies the ancient Void Dragon. Imperial myth tells us that it is believed that the Emperor conquered this dragon on Terra.
I got something for that, actually.
After this defeat, it was imprisoned beneath Mars for all time. Little do they know, those red-robed clicking iron princes, that their Void Dragon is a Catan let loose by corrupted slumber codes. I wonder how they would react to the news that its real name is the Eater of Knowledge.
Huh, that's interesting. Anyways, so we're going to see that Jesus bound Satan from coming onto the earth and all that stuff, right? Now, he couldn't possess like he did Judas Iscariot and all that. He couldn't do that anymore. And that's why Christianity started to rise. But we'll see here. John 12:31. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. Let's go to Mark 3:27. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man. Then he will spoil his house. So he bound the strong man, which was Satan, right? Now he's still out there, right? He's still doing his stuff and commanding his minions and stuff like that, but he can't come onto the earth. But there will be a time where he is cast onto the earth, right? So, there you go.
The humans began their empire on Terra. Their grasp of technology is slow. They spend much of their time throwing sharpened tree pieces at each other. Terra had a multitude of cultures, each one's god more important than the other.
Alright, so real quick. We have things like the Pyramid of Giza and these megaliths and stuff like that. So I don't think it was just that. We had some technology that was given to us, I do believe, by the fallen angels. And why do I say that? In India mythology, in the Baghdad or Vedas, we'll just call it, there are what is called the Brahmanas. They're like flying ships. Flying chariots is what they're called and stuff like that, right? Bible has the chariots of fire as well. But anyways, what seems to be a nuclear exchange between the Vrishnis and something else, I forget their name. And what's interesting about India, there is some green glass there. I can't remember where it's at. You have to look that up. But there is some green glass there. Now, they say it's a meteor, but I'm not so sure, man. When you check out like all these mythologies and stuff, there's some technology there. Like the megaliths. You'll see some of these walls where the rock and the bricks, or the rock, I should say, stones, were like melted into place and molded, right? So crazy stuff, man. You can't even fit a paper in it. It's that good. So there was some technology. I don't think it was just spears and stuff. Now, there was a time where we did this when we lost all that, especially after the flood, where God destroyed it all, right? But, so, very interesting stuff. Let's move on now. And apologies for that. That was warrior tier. I'll put something at the beginning. I always forget that. But anyways, this is the Imperial Saint. If the Void Dragon were to break loose or the Mechanicus find out where it's located, that would be interesting. That's a long title. But let's get into this real quick. So, in the book of Enoch, chapter 20, verse 7, it separates the serpents from the cherubim. Verse 7, Gabriel, one of the holy angels, who was over paradise, and the serpents and the cherubim. These serpents are the seraphim, by the way. So there you go. Now, let's get into the Imperial Saint.
The Void Dragon, a once feared Catan, still lives, shattered but not destroyed beneath Mars, locked away in the Noctis Labyrinth. Who put him there? The Emperor of Mankind. How did he manage that? Who really knows? Regardless, Void Dragon is a being so powerful that even death could not claim it. 65 million years ago, during the war in heaven, the Void Dragon devoured entire stars, bending their energy to his will. His mastery over matter allowed him to reshape reality, forging monstrous warriors wreathed in lightning, weapons capable of erasing civilizations and countries.
That's interesting there. We know Satan can transform, right? Now, the Bible tells us that we entertain strangers unaware, that they may be angels and stuff like that, right? That's not the exact wording, but pretty much that's what it's talking about. And then it says, Satan can transform himself into an angel of light, and his minister, his hosts can too. So they can transform. But not only that, we see lightning associated with Satan here, that he can transform himself into lightning, right? Using the elements and all that. Luke 10:18. And he said unto them, this is Jesus, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. It says as lightning. And then we get even more to that with this in the book of Enoch. First Enoch chapter 44. And also another phenomenon I saw in regarding to the lightnings, how some of the stars arise and become lightnings and cannot part from their new form. Very interesting. So some of these guys are like imprisoned in this lightning or just being energy. So very interesting. And can they connect themselves to machines and stuff like that? Something to think about. But anyways,
constructs that twisted the laws of physics. He was feared not just by mortals, but by gods. The elder pantheon themselves had to forge legendary artifacts to hold him back. Yet, even that wasn't enough. It took the Necrons, his former worshippers, to betray and shatter him, locking his fractured essence into countless prisons across the galaxy. But one of those shards, it's rumored to be on Mars, feeding its influence into the Adeptus Mechanicus. The machine-worshipping priests unknowingly serve the jailer, interpreting his whispers as divine knowledge, while the technology stagnates under his influence. They rather worship than innovate. But how did it get to Mars? The Emperor of Mankind.
And something to think about here is that it took the Emperor of Mankind like almost all that he had just to get that one shard. So imagine him being his whole being, right? That would be rough.
Fought a weakened shard of the Void Dragon on Terra itself, barely subduing it before entombing it beneath the Red Planet, placing a perpetual and a guard to keep things safe.
This TikTok is by Chronicles 41st. Is the Void Dragon lurking beneath Mars, influencing the Mechanicus? Forbidden Records hint at a machine god's hunger. So, this ought to be interesting here. But real quick, we'll see that Satan is a red dragon, right? So, Revelation 12 again. starting verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars out of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So there we go. We get this picture of what Satan kind of looks like, right? And his kingdom, right? But anyways, I digress. So let's get this one going.
This is not just speculation. Imperial records hint at it. The Book of Mournful Night, seized and sealed by the Inquisition, speaks of a dragon beneath Mars. Its words are forbidden, its pages locked in vaults where only the Ordo Malleus may tread. But even their silence is a kind of confession. The Black Library, S. own accounts in the novel Mechanicum, describe visions of the dragon, S. psychic presence. Long before the Emperor arrived, Martian culture bent toward worship of machines. Tech priests dreamed of endless circuitry. They saw visions of infinite engines. They heard whispers of perfect design. All of it could be echoes of the dragon's hunger, bleeding into mortal thought. Consider the rituals of the Mechanicus. Every chant, every offering, every drop of sacred oil poured onto steel. What if these are not...
Very interesting. I've done the Void Dragon lore before, but I haven't really looked deep into it. So if you guys can let me know on if this is true or not, just let me know in the comments.
Harmless rites. What if each act is psychic sustenance for the creature bound beneath the crust? Not for the Emperor, not for the Imperium, but for the Void Dragon itself.
Now this is my short of the Void Dragon. So a little shameless plug here, and you guys can get a gist, for the new people anyways, of my shorts that I do. And this is on YouTube Shorts and TikTok and then Instagram and all that stuff, right? The Reels. So if you want to check that out, it'll be in the short section on YouTube. But I'm not going to react to this, and we're just going to play it all the way through here. Let me get to the thing here. Okay. Magladroth, the Void Dragon, is a large Catan shard that is believed to be the machine god by some tech priests. And by the way, they're almost 3 minutes now. This was way back when you could only do 60 seconds or a minute. And my storytelling wasn't as good then. So I apologize for that if it sounds monotone. I'm a little bit better now. But anyways, I digress. There may be a connection between the Void Dragon and the Dragon of Mars that was imprisoned by the Perpetual, the Emperor of Mankind, before the start of the Age of Strife. Here in the Bible is Jesus casting out Satan, the dragon. John 12:31. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. Luke 10:17 and 18. And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. And there you go. I forgot to even add that in there. Here is some more proof. Mark 3:27. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. Now here's a cool TikTok. Kind of interesting. It's definitely AI. The sword has 2 hilts, as you can see there. But it is kind of cool. But it's from Eddie8056, the Emperor of Mankind versus the Void Dragon. So now, before we get into that, I want to talk about the last TikTok. So Satan doesn't mean, Jesus bound him, but he still has influence onto the earth. He's still there, right? He still has access to heaven. He just doesn't have access to earth right now. And I should say his ministers and his hosts and his fallen ones with him, they have access to the earth. They still have, control over the continents and stuff like that, right? In regions, I should say. So I do want to get that out there. If you're wondering, well, if Satan's bound, then why are still evil things happening? That's why. But anyways, let's get this going. AI ain't just there yet. Let's hope this isn't copyright. I hope not. We'll see, I guess. You know, would the Emperor have that? Well, I guess he would, depending on at the time that he did that. But I don't know if he would have. Well, I guess it all depends. But he'd probably have that type of armor, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyways, I digress. We're gonna wind this one down now. I want to thank everybody who liked the video. If you disliked the video, thank you for at least giving me a chance. Also, I want to promote my memberships, just $5 a month. You'll be helping out the channel immensely. And there's going to be extra videos to that. You have access to the Discord, at least the paid version of the Discord. There's going to be a free version of the Discord as well. So I want to get that out there. And I also want to try to build up some Christian Warhammer 40k fans too. So that way we can use that to communicate with each other and whatnot as well. You know, do some Bible studies. You know, who knows? But anyways, $5 a month. It will always be $5. There ain't no tiers or anything like that. So, but anyways, guys, you have a wonderful day.